that's the thing. If they go all in for Cam Johnson, are the Pacers winning the East? Are they can they get past Cleveland and Boston and the Knicks?
What is up, everybody, and welcome to a mini-pod edition of the All-NBA Show presented by FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Get started with $150 in bonus bets when you win your first $5 bet at FanDuel.com/AllNBA. I'm joined as always, as I am over the weekend, by my guy, Marc Stein. Marc, how are you enjoying the NBA these days?
Adamades. It's all good, man. This is money time. We're inside 2 weeks till the trade deadline. You're like the only person who doesn't want to just ask me 25 hours worth of trade questions because I know you seem to like basketball beyond just the trade madness. But it's that time of year. We've already seen 5 trades, and guys like me are on 24/7 Jimmy Butler watch.
What is it like for you this time? Because you are right. Everybody does love trades. Like, is this the time? Do you have to alter your sleep schedule? Like, are you changing habits? Because the next 2 weeks are, they're pretty crazy.
I will never complain, man. I always say, like, I'm actually blown away. This is my 32nd season. But trade interest, if you could put it on a graph, that the line just keeps going up.
Well, I want to know it too. So you got to help me make sense here, because the Phoenix Suns traded their one asset. The one asset they had was a first-round pick, their own, in 2031. They traded to Utah. Never trade with Danny Ainge. A 3-for-1 deal. Very suspicious that you're going to make a 3-for-1 deal, and they pick up 3 picks. So everybody assumes, myself included, all right, now your war chest features 3 bad or less attractive first round picks, but it's 3 of them, so you could break it up or package it like that, as opposed to 1. Is this all a Jimmy Butler play, as has long been rumored, or is this something where Phoenix is so desperate to make any kind of move that they'll use these picks to get Jimmy Butler, and if not him, Zach LaVine and any other big player they can find?
Well, first of all, it's so funny that you bring up Danny Ainge. I think I wrote this last year, but it might have been 2 years ago. I had multiple teams actually tell me, if you see Ainge on caller ID, do not answer. Just don't pick it up. And I have to really, I got to chapeau my guy, John Hollinger. This was one of the best lines I've read all season. And when you're a writer and somebody writes a better line than you, you're just like, man, I wish I had thought of that. John's line was, the Suns had $1 and they turned it into 3 quarters. They were so desperate to get quarters for the gumball machine or the NFL helmet dispenser
that perfect.
They traded away 1 great pick for 3 picks that are going to be 25 or lower. So initially, there was a lot of talk that this should help them get Jimmy Butler, but here's the reality in Phoenix. They could acquire 10 picks. They cannot legally trade for Jimmy Butler unless Bradley Beal is in the trade.
Right.
Because of where they are in the second apron.
Right.
So, you have to find a team that is willing to take Bradley Beal. That team has not yet emerged. And again, we're less than 2 weeks away from the deadline. The second point is, even if you do find a team that is willing to take on Bradley Beal, he is one of only 2 players in the NBA with a full no-trade clause. LeBron James and Bradley Beal. That is the list. So Beal can block it. So I genuinely don't know if Phoenix is going to be able to put together a Beal trade. And look, having those picks will enable them. Maybe you attack, Jusuf Nurkic, they've been trying to trade. Jusuf Nurkic is completely out of favor with the Suns. You're probably going to have to attach a first to get somebody to take Nurkic because he's got $19 million on his contract next season. So there's other stuff they can do, but they want Jimmy Butler, and they're just having a really tough time putting a deal together to get him. So I'm sure we'll see Phoenix do something else before the buzzer, because they're nowhere near where they want it. I mean, they want to be a title contender, and they're scuffling just to, secure a play-in spot right now. So they'll surely do something else. But man, I mean,
Let me ask you about Jimmy Butler, though, because Shaq had a very interesting comment last night. I don't know if you saw it. He sort of came to the defense of a Jimmy Butler, almost saying like, hey, man, this is a guy that brought you to the finals, gave you a lot of good years, didn't get an extension. And he almost, I think, speaking from his own experience with the Lakers, when he wanted to go to Miami, you don't get an extension. Are they showing that they love you? Is there any part of you that sees this other side of it and says, hey, Jimmy Butler, maybe he doesn't always go about his business the right way, but he has every bit of a right to be, my time is up out of here. If you can't commit to me long-term, I'm out of here. Do you empathize at all with that angle?
I'm putting all my cards on the table with you. I am a very big Jimmy Butler fan, and it's hard. You see what's going on and all the chaos that's being caused. There are not a lot of people out there saying that they understand what Jimmy Butler's doing or why he's doing it, but he has an iron will to match Pat Riley's. We've really
It's
never
true.
seen anyone challenge Riley like this.
So true.
But Jimmy Butler this is his sixth season. In the first 5 seasons, he took that team to the finals twice. And he was
Right.
one shot away from doing it 3 times. And a lot of people, nobody I remember said Jimmy Butler could be the number 1 alpha on a team when Miami got him. I mean, he's been as good a player for the Heat as really anybody else you want to talk about for that franchise. LeBron James obviously led them to 2 championships, but Jimmy Butler hasn't had an in his prime Dwayne Wade at his side. So you might not agree with Jimmy Butler's tactics and some of the stuff he's doing, and I'm not going to sit here and try to defend every single move, but Miami was the one place that I thought really understood him. It was the first place that he really established a home. And I guess I naively believed, the romantic in me didn't want to think it would end like this. It is so nasty, and just like there is just so much animus on both sides at this point. And you have to wonder, like, what is this going to do? Like, how are Heat fans going to think about Jimmy Butler 5 years from now after all this? Because look, Jimmy is just as stubborn as Pat. If he decides he's leaving, there is no one on earth who can change his mind, and that's what we're seeing. But you really have to say, like, you saw that Heat team against the Nuggets in the finals. I mean, they were missing Hero, obviously, but there was a significant talent difference there. That was an 8th seed he hauled to the finals.
It was an all-time run, man. All-time impressive run.
He is a, he will always say, I'm not for everybody, but he is a top-notch playoff performer. And that's why there will be someone eventually who brings him in, because he is a true difference maker in this league.
Well, the saga continues with him as we kind of wait. This is, I think, 3 weeks in a row talking about it. And now Phoenix has made a move where if they don't get him, to your point, you only change $1 to get 3/4 because you're in a hurry. Like you said, the vending machine's right there. But if you walk away and don't spend it on the vending machine, you just hurt yourself. So they got to make something happen. I'm curious.
It might not even be 3/4 because those picks, again, like this, in this draft, it's going to be Cleveland.
Yeah.
The 27 and 29 picks, it's the worst out of, I believe, Jazz, Cleveland, and Minnesota. You might be looking at 3 picks from the Cavs, 25 or lower. I mean, these are not great first-round picks. They're just not.
Yeah. And I mean, you're making a real stab here that people are just going to trade for 3 picks as opposed to, 1 high pick or whatever it is. But, let me ask about Cam Johnson, because I want to go, he's another name that we see a lot. I mean, Zach LaVine as well, but Cam Johnson to me is the guy that can complete a team, a team that's already ready to go. He's a great complementary piece. Who's in the running? What's the latest scuttlebutt on him, and what kind of impact do you think he'd make on the teams you're hearing about?
I think you're right. I mean, he shoots the ball so well. He's got length. He can defend. But it won't surprise me if the Nets don't trade him, because they traded Dorian Finney-Smith and Dennis Schroeder for less than they were hoping. They got 6 second-round picks for those 2 guys after telling teams for a long time, we're not trading these guys for less than a first. And they did in both cases. And you can argue, some in the NBA will tell you that 3 seconds is better than one low first. Okay, maybe that's the case. I don't see the Nets settling on Cam Johnson. I mean, there are some teams out there. Jake Fisher and I have been writing this repeatedly on my Substack. Jake writes twice a week for me, and I've been writing about Cam Johnson as well. We both covered this many, many times. The Nets are telling some teams they want 2 firsts and a good young player. And they're basically sending the message that Cam Johnson has a descending contract. We'll wait till next season. We don't have to trade him right now. And
Good point.
I do believe the Nets. I don't think they feel like they have to do it by moving Dorian Finney-Smith and especially Dennis Schroeder. Dennis Schroeder was the spark. He was the alpha on that team. He was playing the best we've ever seen him in the NBA. That was FIBA Dennis Schroeder at the start of the year for the Nets. Removing those 2 guys from their team has sufficiently weakened the Nets. They're giving Cam Johnson lots of injury rest to protect this guy that so many teams want. So the Nets have started losing regularly. They're going in the right direction. They want to maximize their draft interests going forward. So look, Cleveland likes Cam Johnson, but they realistically don't have enough to put together to get him. They just don't have the draft capital. I reported a couple days ago, Sacramento is a team that's been mentioned often as a Cam Johnson suitor. The Kings and the Nets have talked, but I was told multiple sources say there have been no talks between the Kings and the Nets regarding Cam Johnson in weeks with an S. I think Indiana also likes Cam Johnson. I don't think there's any question that the Pacers have interest. But in 2025, the Pacers have been as good as anybody. And so are they going to break up their team? Are they going to surrender multiple good young players to get Cam Johnson? I think again, the Nets asking price is such that there's hesitancy among the teams that want him. And there are more, Memphis has shown some interest. Cam Johnson has a lot of fans in this league. But I just don't know that we're going to see him move now unless the Nets, closer to the February 6th trade deadline, are willing to take less than they've been saying to this point.
Well, here's an interesting question that you make me think about. Sacramento has been on fire. Indiana has been on fire. Have you ever seen a team that needs a trade? And I think both of those teams, are they winning a championship? I don't think anybody's picking them to do it. But have you ever seen a team not make a move because they got hot for a couple weeks, trade deadline passes, and it's like, well, that was a couple of hot weeks that they still need the same thing they needed before? Have you seen that before?
I really don't think look, the hotness that, if you want to use that term, maybe it's a small factor, but I really think the bigger issue is that Brooklyn wants a lot for Cam Johnson.
They just want so much.
It's not just 1 first and you can have Cam Johnson. I mean, if you have to come up with 2 first-round picks and a good young player, that is a lot to put on the table. And again, like you said, Indiana is creeping up the East ladder and is looking like the team we expected now after their conference finals run. But that's the thing. If they go all in for Cam Johnson, are the Pacers winning the East? Can they get past Cleveland and Boston and the Knicks? I mean, maybe one of those teams, but you'd still say Cleveland and Boston are prohibitive favorites to go to the East Finals. So I think it's really just Brooklyn. Brooklyn knows a lot of teams like Cam Johnson, and they don't want to settle. They'd rather wait and see if they can get their asking price met.
I'd like Cam Johnson in Indiana. I think that'd be a really fun fit. So I'm rooting for that one. But like you said, I wouldn't be picking them to come out of the East. Far from it. I want to have some fun here before I let you get out. The MVP conversation every year, it could be a little up and down. It's a roller coaster. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander earlier in the week, 54 points, new career high. He's been scoring like a maniac, leading the league in scoring. Jokic the other night, 35, 22, 17 to go along with, I think, 3 blocks and a couple steals, something like that. These 2 guys are playing phenomenally. And when I look at the odds, when I hop on FanDuel and look at the odds, Shai has this overwhelming stranglehold on it right now, minus 500. These are narrative roller coasters, the narrative of the MVP. when you talk to people or just when you're around the league, do you get the sense that this is an overwhelming minus 500 Shai Gilgeous-Alexander to win it is a heavy favorite? Do you get that sense, or do you feel like this thing is going to swing back the other direction with the run Jokic is on, and we're just going to go back and forth all the way to the wire?
I'm honestly baffled by those numbers you just cited because to me, look, Jokic has been playing at an otherworldly level individually from minute one of this season. But
Best
when the
season of his
Nuggets
career.
bad start and we're on a sub 50 win pace, my take
Right.
was, well, they're not going to be close to 50 wins, so Jokic could be out of this world. But, well, the Nuggets have since repaired that. Putting Westbrook in the starting lineup has juiced the starting lineup.
It's
Aaron
worked.
Gordon on the bench has made the non-Jokic minutes look better than ever. And
Yep.
now the Nuggets are on a 50-win pace. I actually wrote a long piece about this Monday. If I'm allowed to plug my Substack, I would
Please.
ask anyone who is interested in this topic to go back and look. Because remember, we had Denver here in Dallas back-to-back games. And I had a chance to ask Michael Malone his take on, is this the best Jokic we've ever seen? And Malone, he's a great talker, especially in those pregame settings. And he gave some really interesting, what I thought were some really interesting answers about Jokic coming to him in training camp and saying, do I need to shoot more threes? And Malone saying, yeah, that would be great, big man. We would love for you to shoot more threes. It opens everything up for everybody. And, the volume isn't dramatically different. When I looked at the beginning of the week, Jokic was shooting 4.5 threes a game. The past
That
few
is up.
seasons, he was sub 3 a game. So he's upped it a little bit, but he's making them. I mean, he's a 45+% shooter from 3. With everything else he does, this is the best he's ever played. If the Nuggets are a 50-win team, this is no slight to Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who has been fantastic. But if the Nuggets are a 50-win team, I don't see how Jokic doesn't win it. But I will also say, I have not been an official voter for the MVP since 2017. So maybe I'm washed. Maybe I don't know what matters anymore. Maybe I'm the wrong guy to ask. But look, because of the 65 game rule, Luka, John Morant,
Yeah.
and Embiid, they're all ineligible. So
Yeah.
this thing basically, I think it's a 3-man race. I think it's a huge insult to Giannis Antetokounmpo to not bring him up because Giannis's numbers are also just ridiculous. I think he's playing at a really high level. The Bucks have been at a sub 50 win pace. So if the Bucks get in the 50 win range, which they're creeping towards now with their turnaround, I think you have to have Giannis in there somewhere. But I think you're probably right. It's going to be a Jokic SGA discussion probably for the rest of the season. And again, it's early still, man. I mean, we've still got all of February, all of March, and the start of April to debate this. And I'm sure those FanDuel numbers will move around.
To me, Shai is a very, very good contestant. In this race, he would be a worthy winner if he were to win it. I think Jokic has an argument for having the greatest statistical season of all time: 30-point triple double and 48% from the 3-point line. I just look at it and I go, man, it's going to be hard to keep it away, but we'll see how it plays out. As always,
I shortchanged him, calling him a 45% shooter. You're right. He's closer to 50.
He's 48%, and he leads the league in heaves.
Shai has been amazing with a team that has, played for months now without Chet Holmgren. Hartenstein's been in and out of the lineup. So, I mean, it's not like Shai's not having a great season.
Right.
But, I mean, yeah. You look at Jokic's body of work and where the Nuggets are now. And again, as part of that article I wrote on Monday, Memphis and Houston have been fantastic, but the Nuggets have, to me, reclaimed the mantle of they're the foremost threat to the Thunder right now in the West. The Thunder have been the best team in the West all season long. The Dallas Mavericks continue to beat the Thunder and feel very confident against the Thunder, but the Mavericks still have to get Luka Doncic back on the court, which is not going to happen until February. As we speak right now, nearing the end of January, The Denver Nuggets, to me, look like the second best team in the West, no matter what the standings say.
I agree. And I think closer, getting closer and ever closer to number one in that. I'm confident. I love the way the Nuggets are playing right now. It should be an interesting upcoming month. He is Marc Stein. You can read him on the Stein Line. You can always catch him on the DLLS Mavs podcast, post-game show. Great stuff over there. Marc, thanks so much for joining me.
Apologize as always for the coughing. I guess I just can't stop screaming and shouting.
It happens, man. Everybody have a great weekend. We'll see you on Monday.